starting us off in at number 10 is cast members who get to experience the rides after dark. And by get to, I mean have to. They're absolutely forced to. Well, apparently some of these rides are absolutely 100% haunted, especially It's a Small World. I remember I was stuck on that ride one time and I wanted to absolutely kill myself because it was so annoying. It was on repeat. It's so repetitive. Well, multiple cast members have reported seeing the little animated dolls blink or appear in entirely different places long after that they've been unplugged and switched off for the night. Honestly, there's just something about the ride that creeps me out, and a reason why I just won't go on this ride ever again. In at number 9 is the poor employee who had a little bit of a game with Walt Disney himself after he died. A bit of backstory. Whenever Walt was at the parks, the staff would always make sure that the light in the window of the fire station was turned on to let everyone know, you know, Walt's here, let's be on our best behavior. Well, once he died, they turned off the lights. But one day, a staff member was cleaning the room where the lamp was, and they saw that it was turned on. She turned it off, turned around, and when she turned back, it was switched on again. This would freak me out. She again turned it off. I wouldn't do that. I would just run like crazy, not look back, put in my resignation, and I'd probably go work for Microsoft or something. Well, something inside her was telling her that Walt was letting her know that, hey, I'm still here. I'm still much alive in this park. Well, since then, the lights always stay on to let everyone know that Walt is looking down on the parks. So everyone there better be on their best behavior. Following up, at number 8 is when a Disney employee noticed that there was a mysterious box chained to a lamppost. Anyone who's seen any type of crime shows know that if there's a mysterious package anywhere, it might be a bomb, and to clear the area and call 911. This employee jumped into action and did just that, because the last thing anybody wants is an active bomb in the happiest place on earth, filled with excited kids and their families. Turns out, thankfully, it wasn't a bomb, it was just some family's lunch, and they just didn't want to carry it around with them. But seriously guys, I don't understand wanting to carry your lunch around. I mean, at that point, just go out and buy lunch in a restaurant, just go buy a turkey leg somewhere. Well, I guess on this day, it would save a lot of people a lot of stress. It goes to a worker who might have told an exorcism at the Haunted Mansion. Apparently before the ride even opened up, an employee heard music coming from the walls of the seance room. Mysterious music is bad enough from any room, but a seance room? Especially when there are rumors that the spell book was a real one, which was once owned by witches. Well, that is class A nope material for me. Instead of cleansing the place, this employee decided to just install speakers to drown out the noise, but I guess whatever helps you sleep at night, I guess. Halfway through, in at number 5 is a staff member who discovered the body of a man who had died in his hotel room. I guess cleaning staff must have found him, but it was apparent that he had taken his own life. The room's windows and entrance were covered by those "Pardon our dust" signs. I've never seen that kind of sign before, like, pardon, we didn't clean this place, don't mind it. And there was an important meet and greet to distract people from the room as police arrived on the scene. No matter what I encountered in my life, I feel like finding someone else's body would probably be the scariest thing to happen. He is an employee who had to deal with a watery attack. Well, during a jungle cruise, everything was going pretty well until suddenly one lady entirely lost her cool at the guy sitting in front of her. Mind you, he hadn't done anything other than enjoy his ride because he's in the happiest place on earth. Well, she started to scream at him and then lunged at him, clawing his face and kicking him. The skipper on board had to fire 4 rounds from his pistol into the air to warn other boats, rushed back to the dock, and tried to pull the lady off of the guy. Well, apparently half the people on board were trying to help as well. When medical and security arrived, they finally got her secured and into an ambulance. Turns out she was schizophrenic and hadn't taken her medication that day, and unfortunately had an episode in the middle of the water. It's always sad when somebody has a mental illness that affects them like that, like you're trying to enjoy your ride and all of a sudden you're having panic attacks, you're freaking out, But I can't even imagine how scary that would have been for staff and customers as well, who may not be experienced with understanding what that person is going through. And number 1 spot is a cast member who met their tragic end at one of the shows back in 1974. 18-year-old Deborah Gale Stone was working at the American Sings attraction at Disneyland. At the end of the night, she got too close to the area of the stage by a moving wall and a stationary wall. And as the one wall moved, she got trapped between the two and ended up being crushed. Nobody was in the theater with her, but the ride operator next door heard her screams and rushed to help. But unfortunately, they were too late. Eventually the solid walls were replaced with, breakable ones to prevent a tragedy like this, one to prevent someone getting squished. I don't know who thought of this. There should be like a fail safe or like pressure sensors. Like, you know how you have a garage door and something's underneath it, it would go and then all of a sudden stop because there are sensors? Well, they definitely should have had one in place. Well, it was rumored that Deborah now haunts the attraction and now can be heard telling others to be careful. Okay, so starting us off, number 10 is a family who, like many others, decide to book a table at Cinderella's castle for dinner. However, unlike other dinners here, this one had a far from fairy tale ending. During the dinner, the husband announced that his wife of 15 years had been cheating on him. He took their kids and left her right there. And probably with the bill as well. Well, it serves her right in my opinion. Our number 9 is an employee who witnessed something totally horrifying, and this person that they witnessed doesn't deserve of taking care of anything living. Well, this person who wanted to go on rides, they decided, you know what, I'm not gonna let things hold me back. I'm gonna put my objects and I'm gonna put my stuff in a locker so I don't have to worry about it and I can go on rides, I don't have to worry about them. Well, apparently one of the things that this person put in a locker was their dog. First of all, I didn't know you can go to a theme park and take your dog. And secondly, how does this make common sense? How does this make sense at all? Putting a dog into a locker without any air. I mean, when you go back at the end of the day to pick up your dog because you were too busy ignoring your responsibilities, when you go pick up your dog, that dog, there's no way it's still alive. Absolutely horrible, and for a staff member to kind of witness that is insane. Taking the number 8 spot today is a grown-up who went to a park dressed as Snow White. And I mean, like, sure, okay, people do dress up as characters all the time at the parks. I mean, it's a thing. Well, except this person got super hammered and pretend like she was the official Snow White, and she started signing autographs, taking pictures, and wreaking havoc at the park. I don't think that I remember Tipsy being one of the 7 dwarfs. This is absolutely horrifying, especially if you're a child and that is your like hero and they're stammering and stumbling and falling over. It's definitely a sight not to see. Coming in number 7 is something that, believe it or not, is a regular occurrence. More than a few times, staff have had to stop people from entering the park because they were caught bringing in human ashes inside of the gates with the intention of spreading them somewhere at the park. They just wanted their loved ones to rest forever at the happiest place on earth, which in theory is sweet, but in seriousness, in reality, it's kind of creepy. Like, you're spreading a dead person's ashes on rides or in the water or on the sidewalk. Spreading human remains at an amusement park, I mean, this isn't something recommended, it's something you shouldn't do. Besides, apparently, they just end up getting vacuumed up by staff, so what's the point of sprinkling them on a ride that just gets cleaned up anyways, or sprinkle it on a sidewalk that just gets swept up at the end of the day. Alright, halfway there, and at number 5 is the peak of stupidity. No offense, but apparently multiple guests have asked employees to turn on the AC outside because they thought that all of Disney World was legitimately under a glass dome. Like, this is like the Truman Show. Like, can you turn on the AC and point it outside, please? Because it's pretty hot out here. I mean, it's 35 degrees. Let's make it down. Let's bring it down to 20. Let's bring it down a few notches. We're sweating out here. I'm not sure if that's how it works. I don't know if putting AC outside would work. Unless, you know what if the world turned on AC outside in the summertime? Would that, like, cool the earth? I'm down to try it. I'm down to waste a few grand in hydro bills Alright, moving on. Number 4, an employee checking over the Space Mountain ride. Well, they found more than they expected. They found an entire glass eye in one of the rockets. As for the person who lost it, I'm not sure how they didn't realize, but then again, if you have a glass eye and it just falls out, I guess the person didn't feel it. What if they're on the ride, they're going so fast and there's so much wind, it popped out and they thought maybe it was just a gust of wind. You can't really see your eye in your eye unless you're passing by a mirror. So I guess maybe I can see how they lost their glass eye. But imagine someone like picking that up. I don't know if, I guess there wouldn't be like blood on it or anything like that, but it's a real glass eye. It would for sure freak me out, and at least it wasn't a real eye. Coming in number 3 is someone else who lost an assistive device. During a ride at the Animal Kingdom, an object was seen flying past customers. Nobody had any idea what it was until after the ride, one of the customers approached an employee and explained that somehow, okay, get this, their prosthetic leg had fallen off during a ride. I mean, okay, maybe an eye can come out. It's just psh, maybe an arm can fall off, but your leg is in the ride, in the seat, like it's on the floor. How does that come out? Unless it's one of those rides where you're sitting and your legs are dangling and it just pops out. It kind of sucks for the person that lost their prosthetic leg, because now they are having an even more tougher time getting around. I hope they found it and I hope it's okay, because those things sound like it can be very expensive. Nearing the end on this list, number 2 is actually a pretty sad story. One day back in 1973, 2 brothers snuck out and hid on Tom Sawyer's Island after the park had closed. I don't know if people are doing this as like challenges, but you hear about these stories about people staying in theme parks after they close. I mean, it wouldn't be the hardest thing to do. Well, when they tried to swim back, one of the brothers wasn't able to make it and he ended up drowning. And I mean, it's after hours, everything's closed, there's no one there to save them, no one to hear them scream. His body was found actually the next morning when staff members were getting the park ready to open up. Imagine being an employee, you're like 17 years old or 18 years old, you're opening up a ride and you see like potentially a person floating in the water. I definitely wouldn't approach it. I'd call the authorities or managers to like get that situation situated. Absolutely terrifying, and it would leave me with so many questions. And finishing off today's list, and at number 1, we have, well, if you've ever noticed that the characters always have an escort to walk with them, you know, throughout the park, well, this story is why. Like, you know how you see like Snow White going by and you see like 4 security guards, you see like 4 people around him just to make sure this person's safe? Well, one guest got into a fight with his buddy because he didn't believe that there were people inside of the suits. Like, you must have been so drunk or so drugged up that you thought like, oh wait, is there someone inside of that suit, or is that a real character? Well, he thought Goofy was actually a giant dog in a hat, and to prove his point, he stabbed Goofy. Goofy was stabbed. I have no defense for this guy. It's complete and utter stupidity at its pinnacle point. Either he knew he was stabbing a person, or he thought he was stabbing a dog. So either way, both situations, not favorable for yourself in society. I'm pretty sure you deserve to be locked up in 4 confined walls at that point, and just spend at least 25 years to think about what you've just done. I mean, you actually thought you were stabbing a dog, like a giant dog in a suit. Makes absolutely no sense. Well, because of that story, and probably because of many other stories that are of violence towards these employees, well, that's the reason why there is security there having to protect them. In at number 10. So back at it with Pluto in 1997, a whole family attacked a Pluto, pushed her into the fountain. Okay, hold on a second. I want to pause this story for a second, because reading it, it said pushed her into the fountain. And I'm a 30-year-old man, and you know, I just found out that Pluto is a female. For some reason, I thought Pluto was a male. Bad assumption, I guess. Or maybe this employee is referring to whoever was inside the Pluto. So maybe Pluto is a male, like I suspected, and it was just played by a female. But either way, my mind is kind of blown right now. Well, the employee goes on to say that they didn't actually see the attack, but they just got to deal with the aftermath backstage. Later, Pluto told this employee that the family was mad that she had to take her break after they had waited to get a picture. I think Pluto either broke her arm or her leg, and the people responsible for this, well, they ended up getting arrested. Number 9 on our list. Okay, this one's pretty funny, but also equally as gross. An employee recalls that they used to use a Disney code words for things they needed to tell other employees, over the radio. Baloo, well, that was a code for blood that needed to be cleaned up. Well, one day this employee sees a 2-year-old boy half naked taking a poop in the playground, in the children's playground. He sees the employee and starts to cry and just runs away. Well, the employee didn't have a code word for a human taking a poop. They only have a code word for like blood. Blood cleanup in aisle 2, please. So he made one up on the spot and he said, code poo, situation in the kids' play area, and Piglet is on the loose. Can you imagine seeing that? I don't know what I would do if I heard Piglet is on the loose. What does that mean? Next up on this list at number 8. This story made the news in 2013. A drunk 23-year-old had been drinking at Epcot's World Showcase, so this is where you can enjoy a drink from different places in the world. Well, it sounds like a good time, but obviously easy to get a little bit too tipsy, which seems to be what happened to this guy. He had the bright idea to run into a backstage area and steal a cargo cart. In the process, Disney employees tried to stop him, but he was on a tear. He ended up punching not one, but 2 employees before hitting a third with a 3-foot long PVC pipe in the head. I mean, ouch. We don't know what happened to the guy, but I imagine something along the lines of being banned for the rest of his life and and battery charges. And yeah, that might be the way that story ended. Moving right along on this list to number 7, we have this. The Disney employee had publicly stated that the bad days that the employees endure at the happiest place on earth will kind of haunt you. After he shared a story that a 57-year-old Miami Beach tourist headbutted him. Okay, so the backstory of this? Well, apparently the employee wouldn't let this dude's wife, who wasn't disabled in any way, use the wheelchair line at the monorail station. So instead of asking her, hey ma'am, can you get out of this wheelchair line? He just decided to go with the headbutt. Coming in at number 3 on this list, we have this.
Alright, we gotta go find the kids. Dude, where are the kids at?
Another Disney employee rumored that circulated over the years is that there is a jail under Disney World. So if you commit a crime in Disney World, you line hop, you butt in line, you're going to the underground Disney World jail. Well, this is where people breaking rules are kept while they wait for the police or security to arrive. But actually this claim has been debunked. There's a network of tunnels called utilidors, short for utility corridors, that allows cast members and other staff to access different parts of the park and move around without being seen, so as to not break the illusion and take guests out of the immersive Disney experience. In at number 2,
a 38-year-old employee dressed as Pluto was killed when he was run over by a Beauty and the Beast float over the Share a Dream Come True parade. According to Disney officials, this is the first fatal incident to a cast member.
Death at Disney doesn't seem to be as uncommon as one would think. A cast member who dressed up as Pluto named Javier Cruz was about to enter Frontierland in the parade in 2004. Well, the foot of his costume got stuck under the Beauty and the Beast float, but the float couldn't stop fast enough. Cruz was struck and killed before entering the public viewing area. This is such a sad story, and one that you think could be easily prevented, and that Disney would have safe protocols in place since they run a theme park where a million things could go wrong at any given time. Well, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration gave Walt Disney World a $6,300 fine for this incident. Seems like nothing for a company worth billions and billions of dollars. A $6,000 fine because they caused death upon somebody? Something just doesn't seem right now.